Here on Cricbuzz Comm Box in the run chase, what looks like a bit of a mountain to climb. Not that there are any mountains around Kolkata, but it's just the only mountain around. And unfortunately, Lucknow have been sent and given the task to climb it by Faf du Plessis and company. Not that Faf had much of a role to play. It was all Rajat Patidar. The Patidar innings of 112 taking them to 207. Lucknow in reply, 89 for 2 in the 10th over. Very similar to where Bangalore was, except you have to account for the madness from both Rajat Patidar and Dinesh Karthik towards the end. Where does that leave them? Joined by Shaun Pollock on Cricbuzz Comm Box to try and find out. Shaun, where do you see them standing? If you were a neutral and you said you're chasing over 200, would you be reasonably okay with where they are now?
I think reasonably okay. The only issue is you have to match fire with fire. So they're 5 ahead of where RCB were at this stage. So you now have to match the back-end performance of Patidar and the back-end performance of Dinesh Karthik. And so who's going to do that? If Hasaranga goes for the same amount of runs as Moshin Khan went for, that's matched that with that. But you have to find a way to attack Harshal Patel. And I think it's going to be a combination of these two trying to bat as long as possible and then accelerate as they get through the next 3 or 4 or 5 overs. And then Lewis and Stoinis have to do the job tonight. They haven't been on fire at all really through the tournament, but they have got the potential to back and sort of meet the contribution that we saw at the back end of RCB's innings. And I think that's where the game will be won and lost. KL Rahul, I think he's going to start going a little bit harder. Huda the same. I think they've got the potential to score quicker than they have. But they've got it into a nice position now where they can pull the trigger and they should have the firepower to try and back it. So I think this could be closer than we initially thought.
Yeah, 37 of 32. Interesting. We mentioned KL Rahul's stats when they're chasing. His strike rate is around 100 and he's pretty much sticking to that. But Manan Vora played a good little cameo. Deepak Huda can go absolutely ballistic. And the 2 names Shaun Pollock mentioned, one of them, Marcus Stoinis, and the other, Evan Lewis, a guy who scores hundreds in T20 format for fun. But, Shaun, as you said, not been in great nick, but what a day to start. It's the only one. If you don't fire, you're going home.
Yeah, all's forgiven. If you get it right tonight, all's forgiven on what you have or haven't done. You'll get yourself into the next part of the knockout stage and you'll almost feel like you've done your job to get your team that far. And then also head into the next game with a little bit more form to talk of. But they have got firepower. We've seen it, left-hand and right-handed combinations. That's where they're going to have to try and mix it up maybe, see what they can possibly do just to put some extra pressure on. But I think there needs to be 1 over from Hasaranga that has to go for maybe 10. And then they have to do, Akshar Patel has to go for more than he has been going.
Yeah, let's have a look at the bowlers because Josh Hazlewood, of course, will have overs left at the back end. Not quite the even distribution of Lucknow, of everyone going for 2s. 3 from Harshal Patel at the end. That's the way things go. And then, of course, a solitary over from Mohammad Siraj. Shabazz will always contribute. So I think, as Shaun Pollock said, one into Hasaranga is going to be the key. If he can match Mohsin and they can keep them down, then even the firepower to follow. And I think before we finish Cricbuzz Comm Box, let's just have a look at the Lucknow playing 11, Shaun, and just put it in perspective for everyone out there. What's to come? No Jason Holder today. He's gone. No Krishnappa Gautam. He's gone. But Dushmanta Chamira, of course, can bat a bit. Manan Vora has already come. Deepak Huda is now batting. Evan Lewis has not yet come. But that's typical of Lucknow, isn't it? You can't make a playing 11 sitting here.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, he's going to try and do the Dinesh Karthik role, isn't he? So they're going to hold him and not send him too early. And those last 5 overs, he's got to do the damage. They've got the left-hand option as well of Krunal Pandya, who could maybe do something slightly different. We've seen him actually be more effective this tournament at the back end than he has been in the middle. So you've got 3 players there that can pull the trigger and put teams under pressure. The first 3 bowlers are going at 10 and over. That's what they need to be going at. It's the other 2 that are going at just 5 and over that they have to put under more pressure than they have to find inventive ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be a full-out slog, but just some sort of reverse sweeps or other options to put them under a little bit more pressure than what we've seen in the match so far.
All right. When we started the innings, I guess with 200 on the board, we would have maybe given it a 70-30 game to Bangalore. How much has that changed for you at this stage, Shaun?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'll go 65-35.
Oh, that's all.
I still think RCB. I still think RCB are in the driving seat because they've still got 4 overs to come from those 2. And we haven't really seen. It would be more of a surprise if the Stoinis-Lewis combination pulled it off from what we've seen this season than something that we've come to expect. So still in their favour, but as we know, this T20 game turns on its head.
Yeah, it certainly does. So that's where we are concluding. RCB in the driving seat, but just look at the back of the car. A couple of gentlemen have opened the door. They're wearing turquoise. They've sat in the back seat. Now the question is, can they push the driver off and take control? At the moment, it's still Bangalore in charge. We'll come and rejoin at the end of the match when we review this eliminator from Kolkata. For now, from Shaun and myself, that's all we have.